Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this beautiful live stream on the 13th of October. I'm joined by the beautiful Riley. Say hi.
That's not true. Hello.
And the equally as handsome Ryan with a very fluffy cat on his lap. There you go. Oh, Bear's not liking that. You woke him up there.
He's not interested. Hi, everyone.
I am very pleased, at least. I've seen my cat. I've had my cat fix in for the day. There you go. Chat is happy as well. And today we're going to dig deeper into Orthen. What a beautiful wordplay. We're going to go into a little bit more of the nitty-gritty. We're not going to give you everything about Orthen. We're going to still keep quite a few secrets as well. But we hope to have a little bit more information for the expert archaeologists that you guys are. So that's what we're going to do. Before we're going to jump into that, I'm going to give you a quick friendly reminder that tomorrow we're going to be launching on Steam. Very excited. That means we'll also be doing a 4-hour long live stream with quite a few of the JMods that will be on there. Modspear will be there, Mod Osborne, Mod JD, and quite a few others. I think. Are you going to be on there, Mod O'Reilly?
Me? No, I don't.
No, that's not you. Then I think we've got Mod Stu and Mod Raven on there. So it's going to be really cool. That starts at 3 PM BST or 2 PM game time. So that's quite cool. There's a launch party on a couple of worlds at 3 PM game time or 1600 BST. So if you want some love letters or strip waffles, that's going to be the place to be. We'll have a couple of JMods in a couple of worlds giving them out. And for anything else related to Steam and everything else, you can find that on the website as well. So it's going to be really cool. We're going to go to stream, and it's going to be very funky. All that, and yeah, you can use exclamation mark Steam as well as straight into the ticker to get to the Steam page and wishlist it and everything else. So it's going to be good. All right, now we've got that out of the way, it is time to dig deeper into Orthen. And last week we kind of spoke about a couple of rewards that we have. So we've got like some kind of community event, we've got some new relics, we've got some new potions, and everything else. And we're going to dig a little bit deeper into those now. So I suggest we kind of start with the first one. Mod Ryan, could you tell us a little bit more about the community event, or what's the official term we give it? Rex?
He has a name as well, Osseous, which was mentioned last stream, I think, by Mod Rowley. And he's an ancient dinosaur. I'm going to say he's a pretty regal fellow. But basically, his remains have been scattered across Anachronia ages ago. And while excavating in the Orthen Digsite, you will be finding fragments. This is a very similar event to the Caridet Pylon. So what happens when you reach 100% from handing in all of the fragments is you get a special Roar of Osseous buff, and that occurs across the entirety of Anachronia. And we can kind of go through the general things that it affects, but generally the rule is if it's on Anachronia, chances are, sorry, my cat's playing with me, I'm going to move him. Chances are it affects that particular activity. So whether that be an experience buff, or whether it be an increase in rare drop rates and such. So we're talking Slayer and Agility Codex pages and stuff like that. So I have the list here. It affects Big Game Hunter. It affects everything inside Big Game Hunter, so that was fun for us to plug in. Poisoning frogs, using frogs to poison, you know what I mean. The Slayer and Hunter XP from firing, catching, skinning, and looting. There's even things like Anachronia butterfly hunting, the Jadinkos, salamanders, all of the various other hunter things that occur on Anachronia. They all get an increase. Got golden wobbler snaring as well. So yeah, it's been plugged into all the places. and of course it affects Slayer as well, which is obviously predominantly dinosaurs. But there are a few rare drops. So this will make your Slayer tasks more rewarding experience-wise and GP-wise as well. So good stuff there. The agility course gives more agility XP and gives better loot. All of the totems, rare resources, and stuff that you might need for base camp, if you haven't completed it still, they all have an increased drop rate as well. So basically, if it has a rare drop on Anachronia, it has been increased during this hour. I say hour, it's actually 65 minutes. And we've given you the extra 5 minutes so that you can see the announcement and you can go to the bank and you can get your preset, whatever you need, ready to go, and you've still got essentially an hour of gameplay, especially if you're popping an aura or something like that. So the buff will last 65 minutes, and yeah, it's up to you guys how often it occurs, essentially in the same vein that the Caradet pylon is. So the more people doing archaeology in Orthen across all worlds, the more Rex fragments you'll be able to hand in and activate the event. You will have a buff on your buff bar. It's a T-Rex skull that lets you know that it's active whenever you teleport to Anachronia via any means, whether you lodestone or whether you just log in and you just so happen to have it. You'll get a big information box come up to say, hey, the buff is active, go skill, do what you want, or ignore it and go to Telos, up to you at the end of the day.
Just two quick questions. That buff, that only works in Anachronia, will it also display on your buff bar if you are anywhere else in Gielinor?
No, it will only display on the buff bar if you are in Anachronia and therefore under the effects of the Raw. I believe one of the stretch goals for Orthen that didn't quite make it in was allow the Archaeology Journal to display whether the Caradet pylon buff or the Orthen buff was either active or complete. Near completion. But that's not in currently. Certainly feedback that, if that's the kind of thing that players feel that as part of the core loop and when they're engaging with the buff itself, that they might want to know, I might have missed the announcement that it was up and it's still half an hour of it left. It'd be nice to check your archaeology, those kind of things. If you feel that that's quite important, then we can certainly do that as post-release feedback, probably quite quickly as well.
Now we've got two of them, there's probably more call for that.
Exactly.
The broadcast is global though, isn't it? I recall.
It's global. I don't think if, for example, you logged in halfway through, I don't believe it would update you after the fact.
Okay. The other question that I had as well for you, Mother Ryan, or I think rather you will be able to answer it as well. But there was a question, I think from Rubik actually, who asked if we will need to use the base camp materials again, or with the Orthen Digsite we'll need to use materials from the base camp again that we've been collecting since the release of Anachronia.
Oh right, if there's any new additions to build things.
Build things, or if we can use them for different purposes in Orthen.
I don't believe so. No, we didn't include
not
any of
off
those.
the top of my head. We did have this conversation with Mod Timbo actually, and that's not to say that there won't be things that use those resources in the future. It's just not with Orthen.
Yeah, in fact, well, one point there's the opposite, where there may be something that actually helps you with obtaining resources. And also the other point that the base camp's pretty full. Like all of those little cubbies are kind of full up with things at the minute. And Osseous is a bit of a hog. Takes up a lot of room.
He definitely takes up a lot of room, doesn't he?
I was about to ask you about this one as well, about to bring this picture up on Spear. But yeah, so this is going to be a new addition to the base camp, so it has to fit in somewhere there. And I know they've had to do some shuffling around, or like they have to make some accommodation to fit such a magnificent bone structure inside the base camp.
I'll be honest, it's less shuffling around and more plopping it on top.
Okay.
Yeah,
It looks
like
good.
the artists, we had this brilliant little discovery, like half an hour of exploration where we were setting the variables in game to show the various progress throughout the base camp. And I was like, oh, why not here? Here's a really good place to put the T-Rex because like there's enough room here. And then you've got like mod cell would say, no, set this variable, and it's like all of a sudden it's a bazaar, or it's a marketplace. It's like it's fully built up, and all of a sudden the T-Rex just doesn't fit there anymore. So we had to set all of the variables to like a kind of finished base camp and then decide. And our best option, because we obviously as designers, it's more than just where can we put a T-Rex, right? It could go anywhere on the island, but that's not very useful. You can see this from the lodestone, for example, is a very good core aim for this particular location, right? You can see on the right-hand side of that image there are several stages of completion. So we wanted a player to be able to teleport to Anachronia, look at it, and go, oh, it's only at like 60%, and then just teleport off, and not have to like really kind of investigate it. There's just it's visual, it's instant, you just know. And if that was in the jungle somewhere, that would be kind of awkward. So we had to place it on the base camp, but we had difficulty doing so. So what happened was one of our very talented artists decided to kind of make a makeshift scaffolding for it, which blocks off one of the stairs, but also ended up creating another route around, so it works. And it fits in Anachronia base camp's kind of style of it's a makeshift camp. And it works. You'll see. You'll see.
And it's not stairs I've seen anyone ever use, so it's not a lot.
Yeah.
I remember like
very careful. Go on. Sorry.
Yeah, no. My first thought for this thing was like I wanted it to be whenever you use the lodestone, it's like you arrive and there's this massive skeleton just about to eat you as you arrive.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was too central, unfortunately. So, but it cuts an imposing figure. So when you arrive, he'll be pretty prominent.
Yeah, absolutely.
Assuming you've built him.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? One of the issues that we had in development was that we have 4 stages. One of them is an empty scaffolding, and then you can see so we'll call that stage 0. Right, and then in stage 1, 2, and 3 in the image were the other stages, and originally they were planned for 33%, 66%, and 100%. But we didn't really want the stage 1 to be just empty scaffolding for so long. So the empty scaffolding only really exists for the first like 1% of progress of restoration, and then from then on you will see quite a large portion of the body. So you'll know exactly where it is when you log in.
Is it going to be as big as the player-owned farm T-Rex we've kind of got?
Yes. Yeah.
So it's going to be a big boy.
Yeah. No. I mean, I'm happy to say these kind of spoiler things because it breeds excitement. But let's just say it uses the same animation rig, and we'll probably be seeing him later. That's all I'll say on that.
Cool. That's very exciting. I was thinking back about I'm sidetracking a little bit. When we had the Desperate Measures quest release, there was like this unique gameplay element where you've kind of had like this tower defense element of it as well. And I recall that we at some point had to change one of the arcs, so we had to do something with it in order for the dinosaurs to fit through it.
Yeah.
I'm kind of getting similar vibes from this right now. That's because they are so big. We like need to maneuver and make it work, which I think is
we actually
lovely.
We had to test against that as well. Mod Rowley, can you remember, does that use an instanced map square of the base camp? So it does use the original landscape. Brilliant. So because we love creating problems for ourselves, obviously the way that the Desperate Measures Dino Stampede sequence works is that it copies the existing world map and changes the environment effects, the weather and the lighting and stuff, so it looks a bit more gloomy and a bit more sinister. So any changes we make on the overworld affect anything that is instantiated via other content. So we had to check against that as well, which I think was quite fun for mod cell at the time.
Yeah, in that tower defense, Osseous is forever just a pair of legs. Or it might be
Yeah.
the empty platform, but that's not as
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
But yeah.
All right.
I,
I think we've
I think there's one other
yeah.
thing to cover. I don't know if you said it, Ryan, but like, is the 25% and 10% buff, is that blanket, or are there some kind of things that are different from that?
Let me think. I believe I won't use percent as an example, but 25%. Sorry, 25% experience buff across the board, I believe, for all activities. That was very easy to scale. Whereas some of the drop rates, adding 10% to a drop rate wouldn't be the best option. So, for example, I believe to get the weapon pieces from Big Game Hunter, and you had a triple setup, we had to kill 3 dinosaurs. The chance of getting a weapon piece, a maul piece, from that situation was very high, and to buff that was dangerous. So what we did was we ever so slightly scaled those scenarios where the drop rate itself, where a 10% drop rate would be extreme. However, maybe rightly or wrongly so, we did just straight up blanket buff the Slayer boot drop rates by 10% when you're on task and off task. So some players feel that maybe that was a bit too much, but for us, realistically, the buff is only up for an hour, and it's probably only going to be up for an hour every 10 to 14 hours, depending on how often people engage with it. So yeah, it shouldn't really be an issue. But that goes with everything. That goes with the agility codex pages. There, that they might be even a bit more generous than 10%. It's safe to say that 10% is the number that we aimed for. However, due to the stacking nature of some of the things like agility course, you can get something at the end of a segment, you can get something at the end of a lap, there's a chance to get one randomly, etc. Some of those might be closer to 11.2% or something. I'm just kind of throwing that out there, but yeah. And actually, while we're on that topic, there's a similar buff for archaeology as well, where your Matic precision, I think, is increased in the same vein that the Caridet pylons increase excavation inside the Caridet locations. That is true for all of the Orthen locations when the buff is active as well. So it may be that you want to just carry on your archaeology and you don't want to be sidetracked or distracted and diverted, as it were, to a different skilling option. I believe that unlike the pylons, we allowed you to collect the fragments while Osseous's buff was active, so you could just continue. Don't hold me to that because I can't actually remember the end of that conversation. It's all kind of blurred into one. So it's either like the Caridet pylons where you can't get the batteries, or it isn't and you can. Nice.
Brilliant.
Just double checking as well, but like the buff won't work for restoring artifacts, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So I will preface this now as well. So you can't, in the same way that we don't like bankable XP, like you can't just store XP for a special occasion and then just blast it all out. The Anachronia Ranch Out of Time does not get the buff, so we're not going to encourage you to wait until the buff is active to then harvest your dinosaurs. That would be pretty crappy gameplay from us. It's already verging on almost like RuneScape, which is a problem that I know we occasionally get pushback on, or used to. We've made changes since, let's put it that way, where the player would feel like they are forced to wait for a specific time in order to do the content that they want to do. Let's just, and the Anachronia buff is just a bonus. At the end of the day, all of the agility, the Big Game Hunter, all of the XP rates were balanced on release. This is just an extra bonus. So it's not to say you should only wait for the bonus to do these things. Like they're still there. You can still benefit from them. The drop rates aren't like crazy increased. It's more like there's just a little extra incentive to go there. So anything like restoring artifacts, or harvesting dinosaurs that give huge drops of experience do not benefit from a buff, because we don't want to encourage that type of gameplay.
Cool. Thank you very much. I'm gonna use that as a bit of a segue quickly as well, because I saw some questions about it in chat. This is regarding how archaeology will work when double XP live will happen later on this year. Because there are quite a few questions about that. And the way it will work with double XP live is that the base precision will be doubled, so that means that you will be able to get the amount of projects or artifacts twice as fast. The excavation XP gets doubled. The screening XP will be doubled, but you will not receive double XP from tomes, research, mysteries, or pylons, for the reasons that you just explained, Moderayan. And that also applies, of course, to restoring artifacts themselves. So that's all that. And we're going to go back to Orthen. And we're going to move on to the second thing. And I've seen quite a few questions about this in the chat as well. And I suggest we start moving on to the Relic and the Monolith. And I think I'm going to pass it on to you for this, Riley.
Yeah, let's do it. Have we? There we go. That's what I was waiting for. Brilliant. So we might as well give you some more reasons to excavate. Hey. And these are our 3 relics that you'll be able to discover. I'll let people find out when Orthen's out. There's plenty of people who have 120 archaeology already, so I'm sure on day 1 how you get these will be discovered, and it's not like it's anything hugely different from how relics are currently found through the skill. So I'm just going to go over what these are and what they do. So going from, well, we'll start on the left first. That is Evil Bob's Cat's Paw. It's kind of based a little bit on your Lucky Rabbit's foot, but it was unlucky for Evil Bob. I don't think it's his actual paw, to be fair, because Ice Bear, sorry if you're listening.
No, you've scared him off. He's gone.
It's not real; it's a replica, so don't worry about that. No animals were harmed in the making of these relics.
Good.
And this relic is it's our first fishing relic, but I kind of see this one as more of a meta relic, because the effect it has is that when you're fishing, everything that you catch that could be cooked will be caught cooked, which is kind of playing back to Evil Bob's Island in Escape Rune, where you catch cooked fish and uncook them in the uncooking pot. Yeah, I know it's dumb, but that's what you get when you let me make stuff. So, yeah. And it actually, just as an aside, it works on Evil Bob's Island, so you can catch raw fish there, because why not? Why not? And when you cook/uncook stuff through this relic, when you catch it, you get half of the cooking XP, the base cooking XP that you would have got for cooking that item, and it won't burn them. So the reason I kind of see this as more meta is because there's a nice little niche there for Iron Men who, want their food for their combat. They want to go bossing. They don't really want to spend hours and hours fishing and cooking. So you can cut that time down significantly. And the payoff being that you get less XP. Well, less cooking XP anyway. So that should be a good one, I think. It's kind of fairly niche maybe, but like powerful.
I think it's. I think chat's quite excited about it. There was one person in chat. Are you able to drop your cooked fish? I would not see why not.
Yeah, I mean, they just arrive as raw fish do. You can do what you want with them. Stick them on your action bar and drop them if you like. They'll work with porters, so you get them sent straight to your bank if you prefer that. Or, I don't know, just feed them to your pet cat.
I do think that if you put them on your action bar, the default action will probably be eat, though, instead of drop.
I mean, it gets rid of it, right?
No, that's true, actually. You still get rid of it, so you still achieve what you want. It's just that you're not sharing it with your fellow scapers.
That's true. It might be a little bit slower as well because you've got the animation, but it's still an effective way to get rid. But yeah, the primary purpose, of course, is to be cooking it for your own use or to sell it.
Players are bringing up the argument that eating it would be slower than dropping it now, so that's also a small drawback. But hey, you don't have to cook it anymore.
I love
right?
this. I'm sorry, I love this. Like every time we introduce something with like a functionality, a lot of the a minority of the players pick up on this one tiny little aspect of it and be like, "Wow, we can't drop the fish." Like it entertains me so much. I love it. Thank you.
I'll just be my usual cranky self. There is a built-in toggle which is don't use the relic.
Damn.
But hey, it might not go down so well.
Does it have an extra interaction with the shark outfit as well? Just quickly asking.
Oh right, yeah. So I don't know what specifically you're talking about with the shark outfit, but like in terms of the cooking XP you get, all current buffs would apply. So if you got your cooking bonus XP, all this adds up. But what specifically about the shark outfit?
I think the shark outfit consumes it for you. Will it still consume the cooked fish automatically or something?
I'm going to make a note. This is why we do these live streams. This is good.
I'll take it on board. Thank you for explaining that first relic. Before we go ahead, are you able to let us know how much power it will cost you to have this one equipped as well? Or is that something you would like to keep secret?
It's not really secret so much as like it's kind of out of context without knowing what the new total power reserve is going to be anyway. So I think we can just leave people to discover that on day of release. It's a relatively cheaper one in terms of power cost. I'll say that.
I see some people guessing numbers.
I'm
sure they're getting in the right direction.
I can't see the chat, so I can't know that.
No, that's all right. That's good. Cool. We'll keep that. I mean, you've kind of teased the thing that I wanted to touch upon in the end. Is does this mean we're going to increase the power cap for the monolith a little bit?
I mean, we did cover that last week, and it was a tease answer. So, just absolutely stating that, yeah, of course we are, is probably something we could do, right?
Yes. Yeah. It's not going to be 420. I'm sorry. I know we've got a lot of memers among us.
An increase.
Everyone's a bit sus.
No.
But it's not going to be 420.
I mean, the current live power cap, I think, is 500.
Correct.
So, if that would be a decrease if that was talking about the total, which might be worth it for the meme potential. I don't know. But no, I think the amount that we're increasing the total by is not going to disappoint anyone, I don't think. And now I've said that, of course, there will be people who are disappointed.
They will have to find it out next week for themselves. Shall we move on to the second relic?
Yeah, instead of let's go to the right this time. So that thing on the right there is called Soma. I think in the news post last week it was the Flask of Soma, but I think we've just gone with Soma. Mm-hmm. This is our skill-based relic, and this is specifically and strictly for archaeology itself. Which is a bit weird that the dragonkin would have a potion-like thing that helps archaeology when they were kind of like the precursor species on the planet. But hey, maybe they dug some stuff up, who knows. And this one we said increases your base precision. It's a plus 20% boost here. So precision is, the base precision specifically is a combination of your Matic precision and any of the precision boosts you bought from the Archaeology Guild shop. And this just increases that by 20% before other effects may apply after that. The cost of using it though is actually maybe in some people's eyes actually another benefit, which would be that while you have this effect, you also don't gain soil. So the kind of narrative premise is you're more focused, so you're kind of just getting to your artifacts a bit quicker, and just getting that soil out of the way rather than taking the time to collect it. So how's the chat receiving that one? I can't see.
They hate it.
I think they're quite
so
happy.
bad.
No. Yeah, no, absolutely. They're quite excited about it. Less porters they will be using. is what they're saying, which I think is interesting.
I mean,
is that true though?
The result would be that you would get your damaged artifacts quicker. Precision is tied to how quickly that progress bar fills up until you get each damaged artifact. So in a way, yes, fewer porters or at least fewer porters per artifact because you'll get artifacts faster. So in that period, you'll be getting fewer materials. So yeah, but not really in the grand scheme of things. No, you'll be using the same number of porters from this. This is strictly just to get artifacts faster.
So for your awareness as well, Mortbrella, they've now put up a poll which has the question: do you like soil? And the answer are yes and no. Currently, it is a 48-52 split. 49-51 split. So that's that's a controversial topic, I would say.
It's almost like it all over again, right?
I know. Some players in chat are mentioning the auto screener as well. So does that mean that if you've got this relic active, your auto screener will no longer sift soil?
Well, you won't be receiving any soil to sift, so yes, correct.
Cool.
Just straight up, no more soil.
No more soil, so nothing to sift either.
Yeah, there's nothing left to sift. So I mean, that it can be seen as a benefit from some perspectives. Less inventory management, but again, it's kind of like the fish. You may be not sharing as much. I've realised that all of these relics are pretty selfish now. So
yeah, otherwise people always share their soil as well. They just drop it, and I'm the noob running around. It's like, you know what? I'll happily take it, and I'll just do some AFK soil screening at some point.
Maybe the third one is less so, but we'll get to that in a sec. Any other questions on Soma?
Well, so the assumption from one person is there will be less materials. I guess you could say there is, because you will get your artifacts quicker and you won't get your materials from the soil either. So it's like a trade-off there. Yeah,
these things are very much strings and roundabouts, though. With one hand we take away, the other hand may be given something else. So like there will be other things. The embargo being lifted, there's plenty of opportunity for like things to happen there. You never know, really. And we'll get to potions as well later. Like I think all of these things on balance is not really, it's impossible really to say whether there'll be more or less in the economy.
Yes,
indeed.
There was a question in general. I think that's more general relic questions. Do relics degenerate if you're using them already, or are they just passive effects?
We're keeping with the same rule for relic powers as original archaeology release, in that they're always active and that they are not chance based. If they are in effect, they will do what they're meant to do. There's no random chance that they won't proc, as we say. And yeah.
All right. I know you're also reading the chat, Mother Ryan. Did you see a question that I had not asked in relation to this beautiful relic?
Only that one about soil, about less materials.
Cool. All right. Shall we then move on to the Caladanda?
Caladandi, yeah. This is kind of like probably a magical staff that belonged to some key dragonkin way back in the day. Probably called Caladan. And this actually reappropriates a relic effect idea that we had back at original launch that we didn't quite have the opportunity to do. And this one is our combat relic, which will note all ash and bone drops at the point of monster death. So that one should be pretty popular, I think. It's going to be really useful for Slayer. In terms of like interactions with other things, Bone Crusher crushes first. Attuned Ectoplasmator will scatter ashes first. Prayer Runes would come in first. But then anything that remains after that will become noted. And then if you've got Bone Picker activated instead, it'll pick up the noted bone or ash. The bone, because obviously that doesn't do ash.
We've got a small problem, Old Rowley. You've lit the chat on fire.
I mean, we're only talking about relics so far as well, so we've got some more stuff to come. In terms of I don't know what else can we say about that. I don't think we really need to, do we? That one speaks for
So
itself.
is this gonna devalue magic notepaper a little bit? You think?
There's plenty of uses for magic notepaper, surely. It's going to be a high-level relic. Like, not you're going to need a high archaeology level to get any of these. So, right, that's already a niche of the player base. So, I don't think it'll have an extreme impact at all.
Yeah,
And not to
because
mention that obviously you're foregoing other options as well. There are also more powerful relics as well to pick from, but one, you don't know how much it's going to cost. You don't know what you're going to be missing out on if you pick it. So yeah, like these relics are powerful. They were designed to be powerful, at least some of them, and it's a choice.
Indeed, yeah. I mean, the restrictions in relic power is in the kind of system, the limited slots and the power reserves. So the individual effects themselves can be quite powerful. That's kind of core to relics. So it's not something we're worried about.
Yeah, because I mean, you said it a minute ago, but I think it is also worth reiterating that just like any of the other relics, you will need to do something in order to unlock this relic or find this relic, so you can actually start to use it. And given that this is for Orthen, which is going to be a level 90 to 120 Digsite, you will be expected to have those levels in order to unlock those relics.
For sure, yeah.
Should we quickly go through the kind of ifs and elses about whether you have a bone crusher, where you have prayer urns and stuff like that? I can just reel them off. Got them in front of me.
Please do for me, more.
Steve, Mr. Rowley, could you please correct me if any of these are wrong as I say them? So if the player has an active bone crusher for the bone drop, the bone crusher takes priority and crushes the bone.
Yep.
Seems good. If the player has an active bone picker for the bone drop, the relic notes the bone and then picks it up.
Yep, sounds good.
If the player does not want the bone crushed or picked, the relic would note the bone and it would fall on the ground with the other loot.
Indeed.
Makes sense?
Yes.
And if the player has an active prayer urn for the demon ash drop, the active urn is filled up by the ash.
Yep.
So yeah, it all kind of makes sense. If that should answer quite a few questions that you guys will have.
Thank you for that elaboration as well. There was one other question which is not specific to this relic, but I do want to ask it. There is not going to be a fourth relic slot with this update. Is there, Rowley?
I don't know if I want to answer that, but no, I would just say no. No, there isn't. It's probably best to just be clear about that.
No, I'm starting to think what's part of Orthen and isn't. But no, there's not going to be, at least in the conventional way, there's not going to be a fourth relic slot.
It's only fair to say that so that people can start planning out what they're going to decide to slot in their relic powers from now on.
Mm-hmm. Yes. All right, I think we've covered everything on the relic. If there is a question, chat, or that you've got, put it in chat. We'll try and answer it in a conventional way. Well, it's just like literally adding a fourth slot. That's what I was referring to. So just discard that comment from me if it made you confused. Let's move on to the new potion recipes that you will be able to get as part of Orthen. This was originally dedicated, or Multimber would tell us about this. Sadly, he still recovering from a dentist appointment, so he's not able to make it here. Mother Ryan and Mother Riley, which of you two would like to take the charge?
I think I'll put myself forward for this one. The next bit for you, Ryan. I probably won't linger on these as much. So the first, look at the left side of this image first. These are potion recipe tablets. All of these are recipes that you're going to need to unlock. The kind of method is very similar to your codex pages in that you find multiple fragments, these shattered states on the left there. So you've got 4 pieces. They're found from excavation, and I don't remember if the fragments themselves are, but I believe the complete tablets are tradable. So there's kind of that element of the ancient invention blueprints from Stormguard there. So you can, if you just want the recipes, you can obtain these pretty quickly. And there's additional money-making methods from Archaeology as well there. In terms of what the actual potions do, Holy Aggro Overload, God, I hate that name, honestly. I like to hate it in equal measure. It does pretty much what you'd imagine it does, in that it combines an Overload, an Aggression Potion, and Prayer Renewal in one sip. The way so Mod Daisy implemented all these, he very presciently, the recipe for Holy Aggro Overloads allows you to either use those 3 potions or an Aggro Overload. Like, players probably already made a bunch of these, so just you could use those in a second recipe to turn them into Holy Aggro Overloads as well. So there's a couple of routes to these. That's probably as much as you want to say about that one. There may be questions.
Can I ask you a question about the potion recipe tablets themselves and gathering those fragments for it, or the shattered fragments from these?
First, yeah.
If you will have to excavate on Anachronia, I imagine. Will each of these potions have like a dedicated excavation spot, or if you're digging on Anachronia, you will be digging for all 5 of these at the same time?
They are assigned to specific spots. That's as much as, I'm not going to say obviously which ones yet. You can probably produce a list on day of release when people are experiencing it and a bit more familiar with things. I don't know if it's part of the excavation data, so it would say. I don't think it is, but there's certainly something we could look at on release date. It's only
that was the other question I could see that quickly. So I suggest we just go to the next potion.
Yep, sure. They're kind of out of order, so I really wanted to do these in a level order. So I'll just say that they are not. So you want to start with I've got the level order for you. What was it? Holy Aggro Overload is 98 herb lore, I believe.
Yes, 98 herb.
I'll skip back down to the lowest level, which is at 78 herb lore. We've got the Archaeology Potion, which again is pretty one seal in that it's just a 3-level boost for Archaeology. So it's +1 to Soilty. That's itself pretty powerful. I'm just realizing I said it's pretty run seal. Sorry, that's slang. That means it does what it says on I talked to Mark Osborne far too much. I pick up a lot of stuff from him. But I mean, even for Archaeology, like an extra level boost is pretty useful. It lets you unlock relics that extra level early. It will let you unlock your increases to the Monolith power pool just that extra level early. So I think we can start slow with this. Maybe in future we'll do extremes like the plus 14 or 17 levels that they can do, but it's probably a bit early to do that for Archaeology. We've only been out for 6 months, right? What's next? After that, the Summoning Renewal is also fairly obvious at level 88. This does what Prayer Renewals do, but for summoning points. But also special move points. So over your 6 minutes, you'll just slowly regain both of those. What's the one? So Holy Aggro Overload was 98.
Summoning Renewal.
Yeah. The one after that is the Power Burst of Opportunity at Herb Lore 103. I've seen a lot of speculation on this. This is probably a little bit more niche than some of the ideas I've been seeing. However, it's one that is possibly extendable in future, depending on like other updates we do in future. And what this does is, so it works like other power bursts in that you swig it and you get a 10-second period in which it can take effect. And this will double all of your damage, I believe, on mining rocks. So you probably want to do it when you're about to do a big swing. and all of your time sprite focus. So sorry, doubles your what's it called? I forget. It's the precision of that swing. You know how currently you get the upgrades where it's like 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, up to 6 times?
Oh, rock opportunities. No, that's the
Yeah,
mining one.
Yeah, Rocketuni. I was desperately trying to avoid the Archaeology, but yeah, that kind of, when you get your 100% focus is probably when you want to use this, then it will significantly bump you towards the next artifact. But if we do ever have other opportunity-like effects in future for other skills, then it's something that could be applied to this power burst as well. So that one's probably the most niche. So we'll move on to 116 Herblore for the Spirit Attraction Potion. Again, a lot of speculation. I've seen there's been a bit more on the nose for this one, and this is an auto collector for Seren Spirits. And I'm looking over here to my list. Fire Spirits, Blessings of the Gods, Chronicles. So all of those sorts of things, which has some pretty good uses. Maybe a little bit more on the niche side, but I think I can certainly see myself using that. I always miss Seren Spirits. I'm just not paying attention sometimes.
Don't sell your Hazelmere yet. How long is this going to last? That potion?
Spirit Attraction is 6 minutes.
6 minutes. There you go.
Yeah, so apart from the combination and the power burst, they're all going to be like flasks as well, so you can have plenty of doses on hand.
The chat seems to be divided about it, which I think is quite interesting.
That's fair.
I think that's good. Yeah, exactly.
We've got to have some
You're
rewards
talking about
that are more nichely targeted.
It's good to, like, not everything will appeal to everyone, and having a few more niche potions, I think, is going to be quite good. Like Modos once said as well, like we want meaningful potions, and we don't want to add potions for the sake of just adding potions as well. And we think like these will hit a nice sweet spot with those. So that's going to be good. Will the potions be tradable?
That much I don't know. So the ones that you would expect to be tradable are probably tradable. So I don't know about combinations. I don't think they are. I might be wrong. They probably are these days, actually. I don't know. There you go.
Okay.
I'll keep it simple and say I don't know. But
yes,
you can probably guess.
We'll see about that on Monday when they go into game. Thank you for going a bit more into detail about these potions. So Archaeology Potion, you're going to need 70 or 78. No. Hi. This is the bit that I'm gonna. The reason I'm confused or not confused, the reason why I always make this thing is because the Dutch and the English language, they flip their numbers, and if you pronounce like a double-digit number, so that's why I always keep making the mistake. So it's not like it's just more a language thing than it actually is. But I think it's 87, isn't it?
78.
78. So I was right. So it is the first one and then the other. So, all right, I'll list it off. So listen carefully. I'll do it right now. So the Archaeology Potion, you will need 78 herb lore. Sundering Renewal, you need 88 herb lore. The Holy Aggro Overload, you need 98 herb lore. The Power Burst of Opportunity is 103 herb lore. And the Spirit Attraction Potion is 116 herb lore. And that's the level requirement for it.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind. And then, of course, you need to unlock them using one of those tablets.
Got it.
Then there's one more thing. Oh, did you want to say more, Rowdy?
No, you got it. Sorry, that's all.
Cool. Yes, I'm successful. I can move on. There's one other cool reward that we want to talk about, and I know we're already running short on time as well. So without further ado, I kind of want to just give it back to you, Modorai, and then we'll start talking about those skilling offhands.
Yeah, sure. I'll just put this fella down. Yeah, okay, so we're introducing 2 skilling offhands. There's one, I believe we named them last week. There's the Orthen Furnace Core, which focuses on fire making and smithing bonuses. And there's the Artifices Measure, which focuses on crafting and construction bonuses. And yeah, like we made them quite trying to think of the word, quite identifiable and unique looking, so that you could walk around with them on and very clearly see what they are. The Orthen furnace core has a really cool animated fire animation on it as you're walking around, and the Artifices measure really makes use of well, in fact they kind of both do, but the Artifices measure more so makes use of the new material system that we introduced last year for things like metal. So the specular effects on that look really good as you're holding it, and we'll show what they look like shortly. But I'll go through the effects. They're essentially, they give a core experience buff to training those skills, but they also give a couple of bonus effects for training the related respective skills. So let's go with the furnace first. With the furnace equipped in your offhand slot, superheat will require no prayer, so it just doesn't drain any prayer. You can just keep it active, which is nice. The main effects for the furnace core are to do with the dungeoneering rewards, the scroll of efficiency. In fact, both offhands are to do with the dungeoneering rewards in a sense, and we feel like a lot of skillers have these unlocked anyway, so it was a nice place to bump up at the kind of the end game, as these require 99 in smithing and crafting to create. It's mainly for players who are maxed anyway. So the scroll of efficiency resource saving effect, which I believe was originally a 2% chance per bar to save a bar, now has a 2.5% chance to save a bar, and that obviously scales upwards. If you're making things that require lots of bars, the percentage scales upwards and saves you bars accordingly. Now, if the Pyromaniac or Breakdown perk occurs, these are very kind of niche invention perks, but they focus on smithing and fire making. If either one of these perks occur, you'll get a buff called Furnace Core, and that's a flat 5% smithing and fire making XP buff for 5 minutes, and that refreshes. So if you get 2 Pyromaniac procs in 5 minutes, then your buff will be refreshed and you'll have it again for another 5 minutes. So whenever you get fire spirits spawn, which seems to be quite common these days because of all the bonuses, the rings, the gloves, and all sorts, they're actually now replaced with a different type of NPC, a new type of clickable, and those are called Forge Phoenixes. So they have a far superior drop table. There's a lot of what you would call trash on fire spirits, but fire spirits were always just designed as kind of like a little extra thing, just something additional to training. The Forge Phoenixes, where, for example, a fire spirit might give some basic tier 10 to 40 stone spirits or something like that, the Forge Phoenixes goes up to kind of 60, 70, 80. You get the runes, more charms and stuff like that, whereas the Forge Phoenixes actually have additional kind of rare drops on the table as well. You can get piles of onyx dust. You can get, quite commonly, you can get the Phoenix feathers as well for anti-fire potions. So they're just kind of thrown in there as extra flavor. It's just slightly improving the fire spirit stuff.
I'm gonna interrupt you briefly, Moderayan. Modspear, are we able to bring up the next image of the Orthen furnace scoring game while Moderayan keeps talking and explaining everything? There we go. Keep going.
Nice. Yeah, that's a really nice kind of scrolling fire texture in there, made by Mod Demo, talented character artist. You can see the material system there in action. That's entirely light based, that metal, not painted, so that's good. The Forge Phoenixes, just to quickly cap off on that point, those of you who are familiar with the Memorial to Gothics update, you'll know that there is a I can't remember what we call them. It's essentially a perk from the Memorial of Gothics that turns fire spirits into divine fire spirits. Well, the Forge Phoenixes can be divine as well. So now we have fire spirits, divine fire spirits, Forge Phoenixes, and divine Forge Phoenixes. And the Forge Phoenixes, whereas a fire spirit might have a chance to drop like a Sign of the Porter 2, the Forge Phoenixes have a chance to drop like a Sign of the Porter 5, 6, etc. So it's just an improved drop table across the bat there. But the key point as well is that they aren't just coming from burning logs anymore. They come from smithing, from hammering things. You can spawn a Forge Phoenix in the Artisan's Workshop now, for example. So yeah, enjoy that, have fun with that. The requirements to create both of these offhands, by the way, are they're veering towards masterwork, but not crazy levels of time and money. Just substantial amount of ingredients, some of which are untradeable, so you will have to put some effort in, such as like getting the respective restored Orthen artifacts. We'll move on to I see in the chat, are they augmentable? No, not currently. We did and ah with it, and we decided not to for release. However, if again there's a fair amount of feedback and we decide that there's a good space for it, we will. These are, now I'm going to say this because I'm quite confident in this. These are unlikely to be the last skilling offhands we do, unless these are drastically unsuccessful. So if they're cool and you like them, we'll probably make more along the same kind of vein, which means that we may make them augmentable when we do that. So we'll see. There were some balancing concerns. Go on, Rowley.
Yeah, no. I mean, mention your balancing concerns first. I wanted to add something.
There were some minor balancing concerns, so we just left it for now. Once we address those later, we will feel more confident about introducing them as augmented as well.
Yeah, it's just the idea that these are going to shake up the meta for skill training, right? I think in the long run, these things are going to have some pretty massive impact on the game, on non-combat skills, and this is kind of that first toe in the water. We want to see if the idea is popular first. We want to see if players use them in the same ways that we expect, if the kind of design space that we've put to them is what players want, and like once we've got that core down, then we can look into whether we want to add them for more skills first, or if we want to make them all augmentable, stuff like that. So I think those are inevitabilities, assuming these are well received. We think they probably will be, otherwise we wouldn't have made them. But it's just not a day one thing. Like let's get the core idea first and make sure that everyone likes that, and then build on top of that.
Yeah, just like if I can add to it as well, just like Modelsman said last week as well. It's like we don't want to just like, we're going to do skilling offense because we want to. Like we want them to also fit in the world. We want them to make sense, and all those kinds of things. So where we see fit, we'll see them. Say that again, Mulderady?
We don't have to do everything at once. I think it's sensible to just be cautious with this, just to get it right.
Yeah. One of the things in chat I saw was about hero items. There is a distinction between hero items and, I guess, items that are unique in a way. And that's only because of implementation. I think thematically we could consider these hero items, but the fact that you are kind of crafting these yourself and they're not necessarily a rare drop, they're just something that you work towards and you can get quite easily, but over time, wouldn't put them in the same category as hero items. However, thematically I would feel like they are. So they serve the same kind of purpose. It's just that perhaps they have an easier route towards obtaining them.
Ask a quick question as well. We'll still be able to use Bladed Dive if you've got them.
I saw that question. I'm not 100% sure. They do count as... yeah, there are two parameters that we put on weapons that allow for the use of bladed dive, and I can't remember if this has both of them. I know it has one. So unfortunately, the answer to that is find out later. Just because off the top of my head, I don't know, and for me to find that out would take probably longer than a couple of minutes.
Cool.
I'll move on to the Artificer's Measure effects. Again, this is along the same kind of vein. You do something, you gain a buff. In this case, this is concentrated on the Scroll of Dexterity and Scroll of Proficiency. These are resource-saving effects that you get from the Dungeoneering reward shop. They have the same kind of additional 25% chance to occur. So, for example, a chance to save Royal Dragonhide while making equipment was originally around 5%. It's now like 6.25 or something like that. So yeah, it's just overall a buff to saving resources while you have it. However, like the Furnace, whenever one of these effects procs, you gain a stack of a buff called Artifices Focus. This gives you 0.5% XP in crafting and construction, but it stacks up to 10 times. So you can just, you can ramp up essentially for that 5% extra bonus. One of the key things about the Artificer's Measure, and one of the reasons why it was a pain in the ass for me to develop, is that it's an upgraded gem bag. So it's a gem bag upgrade. So the gem bag originally held 30 gems. Then we introduced a gem bag upgrade, which increased that capacity to 60 per gem, and added dragon stones onto it. Well, this allows you to store 100 of each gem. And the reason why it was a pain in the ass to develop is because we have these things called ops, which are operations, which are different click options on the object. And a gem bag, for example, has fill, empty, withdraw, etc. Right, and these are ops. And the Artificer's Measure has the wield op, which means it must be wearable, which means it also must have wear ops, and the wear ops are things that only appear when they're in your worn inventory or in your equipment screen. So you can, I had to make it so that while you were wielding it, you could fill up the gems. For example, say you were doing, for some reason, some like Slayer with a one-hander and the Artificer's Measure in your offhand for no real reason at all, other than you just want to be a pain in the ass and test it out. You should be able to fill the Artificer's Measures gem bag, as you can see on the picture there, from your inventory. You should be able to empty it from your bank, which means it's got bank operations, etc. And we never had an item like this before. We've had rune pouches that work in a similar kind of way, but this was just +1 to that. It was just an extra pain in the ass. So yeah, that was fun. That took an entire day, I think, to add all of the different options for that. Oh, look at it. Isn't it beautiful? Yeah. So the final effects that I haven't gone through yet, there are a couple more. Some little things that just kind of increase crafting and stuff like that. So the Harmonium Harps in Prithanus, when you are training there with the offhand worn, you will have access to the Ithel clan blessing constantly. It doesn't matter if Ithel blessing is up, you'll get the 20% extra XP for construction and crafting, and you'll get the Discord detuning effect as well, so that kind of tones that down, no pun intended. And oh god, that was good. And also for urns and glass blowing, you have a 5% chance to save any duplicate any manufactured items. So any glass blowing, that's robust glass, that's crystal, regular glass blowing. Yeah, I believe that doesn't count for things like creating blessed molten glass variants, but don't hold me to that. I'm quite certain that's not the case. So yeah, you can upon firing an urn, you have a chance to create an extra urn as well. So it's pretty handy to have while creating tons of urns, which I know like I'll do like once a month. I'll just create like a stack of 500, 600 or something like that, and this just having that would just save me a bit of time and effort. So yeah, a bunch of different effects coming together along with an XP buff. It's essentially what we're viewing the offhands are. This is slightly different to the original offhand design, because the original offhand design would have taken a lot longer to develop and would have been, I'm just going to say the word, a bit more spaghetti than this was. So this is what we've got. They require 99 smithing, 102 archaeology, I believe. Could create
Correct.
both of them, because they require some Orthen artifacts. So I believe we've gone through some of the artifacts, but I'll just say, for example, the furnace core requires 4 dragonkin burners, which are a type of artifact you get from either the first or second microsite, or the first or second excavation site. And the Artificer's Measure requires a pasaha, a dragonkin scalpel, an Orthen glass flask, and a pair of protective goggles. And these are all artifacts that you'll be able to find in the first areas. So once you have those, you'll be able to start looking at crafting these.
Thank you for
All of those.
that
All of those.
explanation, Mother Ryan.
Yeah, sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. I'm just thinking all of those words are completely meaningless to people right now. But give it a week and they'll be digging up fasahas. Cows come home.
Exactly. So Orphan is coming on the 19th of October. I hope you've enjoyed this this digging deeper into Orphan live stream. I think it's been very insightful. We learned a lot. That also means at that time the embargo will also be lifted, so that means you can use your lamps to get bonus XP and regular XP into the archaeology skill. So make sure you've got level 90 archaeology, because that's where Orphan starts really to unfold, so you can get ready and dig into that. Before we go, and I know we're already a little bit past time, we've got 2 more images, a little bit of a sneak peek that I would like to have on there, of like a little bit of a glimpse of what you will be able to see when you're going to venture into Orphan. Are you able to bring those up, Spear? There you go. This is actually a picture taken on mobile. When we did some mobile testing on that, but look at how glorious these are. I'll let you swap over to the other one at some point, Spear. But the sites for Orphan are looking very, very slick. It's a really cool one. I'll also use this time to let you know. Yeah? Oh, you go for
sorry,
it,
Porky. This is one area out of quite a few that we're introducing. You'll see a lot of that next week in the art and audio stream. But just to reiterate, like the quality, I'm dumbfounded by this. I think this is incredible, and was one of the reasons why we wanted to show it off today. This is on the mobile client, running at a reasonable FPS as well in a test environment, which is even harder to run at a good FPS. So yeah, I figured it was just an awesome thing to show off. You can see that the resolution is somewhat lacking on a PC, on a QHD monitor or an HD monitor. These environments just look even better. But yeah, we're excited to just show how good they look on mobile. Thanks for that extra bit of context, Mother Ryan. Well, we can keep looking at the image. I'm just gonna reiterate that we'll give some more. The action bars will become free on the 26th of October. So that's quite nice. So you've got your 4 more action bars top of my head. The new Prime Gaming month has started, so what is in the ticker is currently incorrect. And you can now get a new thing via your Twitch Prime, which is 2 Umbral chests and a currency pack which has 200 rune coins and 35 keys in it. So it's a nice little goodie if you're a Twitch Prime member, so make sure to pick that up. And that will be live till November 10th. And then, of course, I've already said at the beginning of the live stream, Steam is coming tomorrow. I've got a cool live stream planned for that, but everything else you want to find out, or for all the information, head to our website and use !Steam. With all of that said, I'm going to thank both you, Mother Ryan and Mother Riley, for being on and telling us much more about the Orphan that's coming
next Monday. And with all that, it's time to say goodbye. So look after yourselves and tot ziens.